So MusicLab is a blend of live music and live research. And we want to take the research into a natural environment, such as a bar, because that's where people usually experience music, rather than having it in a very sterile lab. And it takes great researchers to be able to conduct this kind of research. And that's something that we have at RITMO. Yes. Okay. And then we also include panel discussion, and we have some of the finest music researchers with us today. So you will be able to learn and pick up a lot of information. And in line with RITMO's opening today, this topic of this music lab is rhythm. Okay. And then we are also very proud that this is an open science project. So all the data collected as well as the audiovisual material will be made freely available afterwards for anybody to use. And I am Solveig. And
I'm Sophie.
Yeah, and we both work at the university library. And you might ask yourself why a library is working with this. And to us, that is just an extension of what the library is supposed to be. Because, well, the first generation libraries could be just a storage of books. Then the next generation would be a space where you learn and you have access to resources. And then this new generation of libraries is an activity where people don't only learn and experience culture, but they can also participate in research. So today we are very lucky that we have found 10 volunteers from the audience. They are our guinea pigs, and I would like you all to give them a big applause. Yeah. We have 2 great researchers here, Agatha and Victor. They are running this exploratory experiment today. So data will be collected from the guinea pigs. It will record their physical responses to the music, and we will also record the physical responses of the performers. The performers today are Katja Schia, she's a dancer. Yes, and
an illustrator.
And illustrator. And we have Cagri and Qichao, who are doing live electronic music. And later on, please stay, because we're going to have a big party with Polish DJ Pysh.
And should I take some practical information? So we urge everyone not to use this exit, because there's going to be light coming in during the performance. So we rather keep this shut. So if you need to go to the toilet, etc., you should probably go now. And we will aim to start 7:15.
Yeah.
And we will keep it open during the breaks. So don't worry, if you need to go, we will of course open the door. But just for Katja's performance, we'd like to keep it shut. So
it should take about an hour. So if you need to go to the loo, do it now, and you can buy beer and enjoy yourself, and then see you back at 19:15, right?
Yes. So that's pretty soon, isn't it?
Yeah, it's in. Okay, we can take 19:17.
17.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Enjoy. So thank you so much to Katja Schia for dancing. It was really beautiful, and I think I can urge everyone to sit a bit more here in the front because you can see better. That's up to you guys in the back if you want to. There's plenty of seats. And I also want to thank musician researcher Erdem and Qichao and Alexander Jensenius on visuals. Yeah.
And now the next part is going to be a panel discussion. It's not a very long one. I know some of you have been in panel discussions the whole week. So, but this is a special one. We have Justin London, who is a professor at Carleton College. And then we have Anne Danielsen, director of RITMO. We have DJ, producer, and artist Philip Abramczyk, also known as Pysh. And Katja Schia, who was just dancing for us. She's a dancer and illustrator. She's also going to be in the panel. And at the end of it, it will be possible to ask questions. It will take about maybe half an hour. Yeah, so enjoy.
The order is Justin, Anne, Katja, and Philip. Okay, everyone, welcome to yet another panel for some of you, and for the first panel for others. I could also mention that for our international guests that had problems getting something in paying in the bar, you can go and RITMO will offer you a free beer in the bar. But that's only for the international guests that were declined, so you can try your card first. So this panel is unwritten. As some of you know, we always have a panel discussion, or what we call an intellectual warm-up at these music labs. And one of the ideas is really to try to talk about the topic from a research perspective, but also in a way that makes it fun and entertaining as well. And we have a fantastic panel here today. And we'll just start by having a quick introduction round so people can tell who they are, and also they can know their own experience with rhythm. So we'll just start with that, and we can start with you, Justin London, professor from Carleton College. What are your feelings about rhythm?
Okay, is this my 2 minutes, or is this me just to explain who I am?
This is who you are.
Okay, I'm a guitar player who got lost and became a musicologist, who became a music psychologist and met Anna, and now I'm here in Oslo. So that's the short story. Yeah.
Very good, very good.
Yeah, I'm Anne Danielsen, director of RITMO. I'm a musicologist, and I have been researching rhythm for more than 20 years. Started with research into African American popular music, and has kind of gradually developed into some kind of hybrid between musicology and music cognition.
Mm-hmm. And Katja?
Yes, my name is Katja, and I am a freelance dancer. I work with movement and drawing mostly, and everything between there.
Did we lose the sound on some of us?
Yeah.
Or perhaps some of us are. Do we have a handheld microphone that we can use? Or let's see. Yeah, you can use that one.
Because I didn't know that I was going to use it more. But now I can.
You can try that again, so we get it on out there as well.
My name is Katja Schia, and I am a dancer in bass, and I work with movement and drawing and everything which is between there. And I work from the dancer perspective, and from the choreographer, and also the teacher. And everything I do is based in improvisation.
Does it work? Yes. So, hi all. My name is Philip. I come from Warsaw, Poland. I am educated lawyer, but I decided to be a DJ producer, and right now I am also teaching some people in a private music school. I am also a club manager, so I am using music in very different ways. Yeah, that's all.
And we are using DJ Pysh's music in different ways, and that's why we invited him to come here tonight, because we have actually been using his music in some of our previous experiments.
That was the biggest thing in last year.
Are you paying him copyright for that?
Well, we are discussing that.
Okay.
Well, he's a lawyer even,
Yeah,
so
I was
that's
gonna say.
yeah, that's. Let's talk about that afterwards. How we're doing
Maybe
this.
later.
Okay, so now we're over to the more targeted questions, and I have given Justin the. I'm not sure if it's an uncomfortable or if it's a comfortable task of trying to explain from. I mean, this is we're in a club. It's in the evening, but rhythm. This is something we know about from music theory, and I've given you 2 minutes to explain rhythm from a music theoretical perspective.
Right. So here's a quote. This is by Kurt Sachs, a famous rhythm researcher. What is rhythm? The answer, I'm afraid, is just a word without any accepted meaning. Everyone believes he knows what rhythm is, but it's arbitrary. The confusion is terrifying indeed. So, or maybe it's Potter Stewart, who famously defined pornography as, I don't know what it is, but I know it when I see it. So rhythm is, I don't know what it is, but I know it when I hear it. So something like this. You might not think is a rhythm, but that's actually from a blues song. Ooh, 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 ooh. Little loss of voice. And you notice when that melody comes back. So there is a rhythm there, but it doesn't have a beat. But a rhythm is a pattern in time that a human can grasp. That covers a lot. Mostly, if you think of a rhythm, it's something like... Everybody tap your foot to this. This is a test. Here we go. You're doing better than the Finns. Okay. But here's... Now tap your foot to this. Oh, very good. Some of you know this is in 4. Okay. Or how about this? So that gives you a strong sense of the beat, even though you're not always tapping when I'm tapping. And then there are things like this. Try it. Okay, we have some people from the Balkans here. That's very good. So those are lots of different ways to be regular. And that's what you worry about if you're a music theory person. What makes the rhythm regular? And that's where I will stop.
Cool, very good. Thank you. That's a very brief introduction of music theory to all of you. And then to move on from this music theory and to kind of what we are working on in RITMO, Anne. Why on earth would we spend the next 10 years of our lives to research rhythm?
Yeah, well, I can ask you, and you have to answer it. Well, first I'd like to just comment on, you said that we know rhythm from theory, from music theory. I think most of us know rhythm from our bodily experiences with doing or listening to rhythm. For example, playing music, singing music, dancing to music. So that's kind of, I think, the kind of primary experience that we have. And which also made me interested in rhythm. But yeah, what do we do in RITMO in the next 10 years? I think that RITMO can contribute quite a lot to the understanding of rhythm. And I think, well, starting with my own background, I'm coming from research into musical rhythm, and I think we can actually, when it comes to music, we know quite a lot about the basic structures and features of rhythm. But I think we can contribute to transferring much of that knowledge into new fields. For example, researching the rhythm of motion. And I think also the relationship between music and motion is extremely interesting and also very promising when it comes to understanding some of the basic mechanisms underlying rhythm, and especially also in combination with which we have the opportunity to do in RITMO, to combine insights into musical rhythm with research into motion and also research into how we process rhythm in the brain, the perceptual and cognitive processes underlying rhythm. So I think that's a very powerful combination. And I think we also can contribute things when it comes to understanding rhythm as a tool for structuring more large-scale formations of time, as I mentioned earlier today as well. And also, I think if we're able to understand more about rhythm in the body and in the brain, we can also model rhythm in new and very powerful ways, which in turn can be extended into applications for rehabilitation, for example.
Very good. So that was the very short introduction also to RITMO here. Now moving on to you, Katja. I mean, you're a professional dancer working with the body and also working with rhythm in many different ways. And you have been working together with some of the researchers at RITMO now over the last months in developing this performance that we just saw. Could you tell a little bit about your experiences with rhythm and working with the body and with the rhythms of the body?
Yes, now it's working. Oi. To work in this specific performance that we did now, I had the possibility to hear my own I can say movement universe, I can say creative universe, or rhythmical universe, or the way I relate to movement is also in a way very rhythmical, or yeah. So this particular work, it gave me the possibility to be in an extremely satisfying creative loop, where I realized that on this very hard floor, which is usually you are not able to work for very long. I could, when we had a session, I could go for hours in just exploring, and I think the rhythm movement is the rhythm of the body, the sound of the. How to, I think, to express the sound for me. So I can listen, but I can also express it, and this is a lot what I do in the dancing. Yeah.
Very nice. And then over to you, Philip, or DJ Pysh. We're going to hear your music soon.
Nice.
Could you tell a little bit about how do you think about rhythm? I mean, as a DJ and trying also to make people dance.
Yeah, in my opinion, club electronic music comes from the old times, like African and Indian style tribe music. Everything was based on loops, and people were able to get into some kind of trance, like tribe dances and other stuff. So in my opinion, club electronic music is something like new version of it, and the rhythm tells you where some kind of elements will appear, will play stronger, shorter, longer, and rhythm is really connected with a tempo. And for example, I am able to start a party with a slower set between 110, 115 BPMs per second and BPMs, just BPMs, and for example, make it faster and change the rhythm. So those two things are really important, and I am able to have effect on the people. But what's the most important thing in electronic music besides the tempo and the rhythm is just to share a good vibe, and that's the most important thing, because when some music is affecting on me really nice, I hope that it will affect on you also. So that's the most important thing in my opinion. And I can say that I am a kind of a slave of a rhythm, and I am a DJ as a professional, and I am a DJ also as a human, also as my own person, because it's my life. And my friend told me one thing yesterday, that I should end my message today on a title of a really pop song, really famous pop song, which is "Rhythm is a Dancer," and I think that that's the most important thing. Just feel the rhythm and dance.
Wow,
Thank
beautiful. I just wanted to kind of pick up on one thing, because you mentioned BPM, which is a kind of a term that is often used in rhythm. And just is it possible to explain BPM, or for example, what's the typical BPM in dance music? And
BPM, it's beats per minute, and the typical tempo in club is between 120 and 130. 120 is mostly deep house sets. 130 is a techno thing. And for example, right now there is a really famous style of electronic music like down tempo, and it's around 115, but it's really slowly. And yeah, that's how it is.
This BPM thing is something that we often think about in music research as well, and trying to understand more about where is it coming from, where is it coming from in the body. Anne, for example, or Justin, do you want to fill in here with some kind of more embodied perspectives on this?
I think we heard yesterday, or was it the day before? No, yesterday, because we had this huge motion capture workshop. Alexander was in charge of that, and I think it was in Mark Lemon's keynote that we heard that actually the maximum walking speed of human beings is exactly this tempo range. So it might not be accidental that this is also a preferred tempo for dancing.
Another topic, I mean, because this is supposed to be both entertainment and education at the same time, the edutainment part of things. I just have one more topic and a kind of term that I'd like one of the researchers here to explain to you, and that's that of entrainment. And what is entrainment, and why are we talking about that in kind of when you think about that music, rhythm, and dancing?
That's for me?
Yeah.
Okay. Entrainment is what you were doing when I was playing clave. You're following me. So we've got two rhythms going on here. There's my rhythm and your rhythm. And the entrainment involves that both are going on at the same time, and they're both connected. So it's like having two clocks going at the same time, but they're listening to each other, and they adapt to each other. And that's what entrainment is. We entrain to lots of things. We entrain to the sunrise and sunset. I'm from Minnesota in the United States. We have more sunlight than you do right now. So my entrainment's a little bit different. We entrain to each other's walking. We entrain to each other's rate of speech. And it's all a process of synchronization. But the special thing about entrainment is that you keep your rhythm going even if I stop for a minute. And that what Anna will study is the ways that they can actually see what's going on in your brain in terms of how your brain is resonating and keeping the rhythm going, even if I stop for a bit.
Very good. Thank you.
Okay.
That was a good explanation. I think we should also open for some questions from the audience at this stage, because I'm sure you have some questions to ask this fantastic panel that we have here. I can't really see very much out here, so but Solveig, I think you're running around with a microphone.
Yes, Anke and Nina have microphones. So raise a hand if you have a question. Okay, there is one question there from Sagar. No, wait for the microphone because we're streaming as well.
Is there a way to quantify rhythm?
Oh.
Yeah. It depends on what you mean by quantifying. What kind of aspects are you interested in?
In terms of structure or a number or a sequence of numbers, or the most general, let's say, data structure to quantify rhythm.
Yeah, I mean, tempo, 120 BPM, that's one way of quantifying rhythm, a very simple way of quantifying rhythm, but there are also other ways of measuring rhythm, and I've been working in particularly I've been measuring rhythms at the micro level to try to get a grasp on how musicians in different styles articulate rhythmic patterns. And then I use representations of the sound waveforms or spectrograms and measure, for example, when an event starts, when it peaks, or when it ends, and what the relationships between different events are. So that's one way of quantifying rhythm. But it depends. You can do that in many ways. It depends a little bit on what you're interested in, what aspect of rhythm you want to quantify, because rhythm is such a complex thing. It consists of so many different aspects. You have the pulse, you have the subdivisions, you have the patterns, you have stylistic figures, you have recurring microrhythmic patterns, ways of articulating the rhythms. So, and you have overarching metric structure, periodization. It's so yeah, it depends a little bit on what aspect you're actually interested in, how you do it.
This is why we need 10 years to study this now in RITMO. Other questions? I think that's one.
Hello. In one of the presentations today, there was a phrase that said your aim with the center was to change cognition, or to change our understanding of cognition.
Yeah.
So how far can you go with rhythm, studying rhythm? What are the applications of studying rhythm to other fields?
I think that I mean, one of the basic ideas behind the center is that rhythm is such a fundamental aspect of human life. So if we are able to understand the underlying mechanisms of rhythm, we also understand how we structure our thoughts, how we think, how we can predict things in the future, how we organize our pasts, and that's very fundamental aspects of human life, because our life unfolds in time. And how far we will be able to push this, we will see. We will try to do our best, but we think that we're into something that is potentially very important, and which also can be applied to different fields of, both the theoretical or scientific fields, but also different fields of application. And I'm not sure if that was answered your question.
Other questions out there?
Hi. So a question to the right side of the panel. I'm over here. So when you work professionally, artistically with the rhythm, can you say something about how much of it is sort of theoretically analytical thought about rhythm, and how much is sort of just feeling the beat, feeling the rhythm?
It's for us.
Yes.
Yeah. Maybe that's why I didn't become a doctor or scientist, That's why I became a musician. I tried to apply to the music school a few years ago, and I spoke with a lot of people about it. And my really big friend from Germany told me that if I would go to the music school and learn a whole theory about music, about composing music and other stuff, I can. They may be a risk that I will stop to feel it. And for example, I am using a lot of synthesizers in the studio, and learning how to make the sound from the beginning is a really it's a really hard thing and complicated. And I prefer to divide it into a 50-50, 50 of knowledge, 50 of my feelings. So that's the same. I'm using the same story in a DJ booth. Yeah.
And for me, if I don't feel it, I don't have anything to start from, because it's through the body. But of course, I use a lot of tools and tasks and ways to structure what I feel and what I experience. But I usually, the experience comes first, and then I break it down after.
Very good.
Can
You
I
also
give another
you feel it?
response from the left-hand side? Because, I mean, my day job is studying rhythm, and whether it's I analyze pieces of music or do experiments with asking people to judge rhythms or studying EEG of people listening to rhythms. And my area of research are the speed limits about how fast and how slow things can go. And so I know that if you get things past a certain speed, then all of a sudden the rhythm changes because our brain is processing it differently. And I know that some things happen around 140 BPM, and another thing happens around 210. And then when I'm playing my guitar and working on soloing, because I'm a jazz guitar player, I know exactly what happens when a certain feeling is happening to me, that it's like, I know I must be getting close to one of these little edges. And so it doesn't mean that the feeling isn't there. All it does is give me a little awareness of sort of what might be going on. And to me, it makes the feeling a little more magical. To me, actually. It's just the opposite of what you said. So I just want to say it doesn't have to be quite so bad. Yeah.
Anna, do you also want to fill in?
Yeah, I think that the feel of feel, so to speak, was what brought me into rhythm research, and I agree with Justin. It has not disappeared. In fact, I think I've actually increased my sensitivity for those aspects of rhythm through my research. But I would also add that one of the ideas behind the center is also that this pleasure that we feel is, of course, pleasurable, but that it might also have a function when it comes to the way that we can use rhythm to structure, for example, temporal events. So it could be a way of actually navigating towards the important points in time, for example. That's one hypothesis when it comes to why this feel is so important.
The feel is important, the pleasure as well. I mean, I had a commentary earlier today because we have announced some PhDs and postdoc positions now, and one of them is called a doctoral fellowship in entrainment and pleasure, and it's fantastic to be a doctor of entrainment and pleasure, right? That's you should all apply for that position if you want. You want to apply for that one. Okay, other questions out there?
Earlier, you pointed at something universal about how we as humans respond to rhythm. You compared the BPM of dance music to the speed of our walking. I'm curious about the non-universal responses we have to rhythm and to BPM. Why do we respond so differently to music? Why can one rhythm be stressful to one human and pleasurable to another human?
Oh, good question.
Yeah. I can start and you can follow up. Yeah, I think this is really, really important, and much of the research into rhythm, especially in music psychology and music cognition, has not taken cultural variation and training and background into account. So we tend to generalize to the whole world and the population of the globe based on a very limited population, very often American psychology students, or what do you say, Justin? North American students of psychology. And of course, we should be very aware of this, and I think that's one of the big challenges when it comes to research into rhythm, is to investigate exactly how people hear things differently and try to get a grasp on because it might be that what kind of background you have, how you have been trained is so fundamental that it actually changed how you listen, how you perceive at a very fundamental level. Yeah.
I think we take one final question from the audience.
Yes, hello. I was fascinated by the connection that you make in the project between rhythm and cognition, and also the example or the idea of connecting rhythm with movement, with body and dance. Because for me, a rhythm is connected to, let's say, the idea of permutations. It could be connected to the way I organize sets. It could be connected to the way I remember, in the terms of remembering being how you piece together body, remember. And then you're back to the body, and so to speak. I'm just wondering these kind of strange loops between what is actually, in a way, could be seen as cognitive in the sense of logic, and intuitive in the sense of the body. Is this kind of something that the project tries to bridge?
I would say yes, although I hope I don't promise too much by saying that. Yeah, there are some very interesting loops, and we also know that that the rhythm and the motor areas of the brain are very closely connected. And we also know that, I mean, moving is important also for cognitive function and for remembering things. So it's a very complicated links there, which I think we don't know too much about, and which we would really like to investigate in more detail. So we'll try. We'll see how far we get there.
And if we can, kind of, because we're coming to the end of this panel discussion now, but I'd just like to also ask Katja one final question here, following up from this, because Katja, you've been working with us now for a little time, and also for us in RITMO, working between art and science is also extremely important. We are carrying out fundamental research, that's kind of our main target, but we also very much coming from an artistic perspective into this, and also we are interested in exploring also artistic methods as part of what we're doing, because often we can learn and understand more about how things happen in our bodies as well through actually doing it and making rhythms in different ways. And could you say a little bit more about your experience of really working with the RITMO researchers in kind of in also shaping this, and kind of the feedback loop here we're talking about between the body and the understanding rhythm?
Yes, I can. Where to start? There is when I sometimes before this work I worked with musicians in meeting and in communicating, and I also worked with a lot of sound and input from the air as a starting point for activating the body, moving the body, making some things, and with this specific work, I experienced that since we have this great technology, we can start our starting point is much more connected. Like, it's a different place to start than what I've started from in other things, because I feel that the movement and the dance does not need to relate only through the air. So I can relate in the language that I am actually speaking. So then it's a different way for me to relate to people that work with music, because many times I can have the experience that the way I relate is to listen, and then the music is leading in a way, and this is always a challenge. But now I feel that we can start in a shared space. Yeah.
I think that's a great way to conclude this this panel, really. The panelists, everyone here will stay on, of course, so feel free to come up to us and talk to us later. Now we are kind of so let's thank the panel first and foremost.
Thank you so much. That was super interesting, and we would like to now turn you all into commercials, advertisings for MusicLab. So please spread the word, and maybe we can see music labs all around the world. Okay. Yeah. And next section now, we will open the doors, and everybody can relax and mingle around. And the experts will stay put for some time. So if you didn't dare to ask your question, or there was no time for your question, please come and ask them now. And then Pysh will start playing a quiet set. So it's possible to talk through these quiet sets. We will be starting in 1 or 2 minutes once it's set up. Yes, and then?
And then we have another sort of DJing with Tejaswinee, whom you might visit over here, and she will pick up on some data that was registered this evening and talk you through some of it.
Yeah, and then there is a little shift here, because she is not actually going to start yet. She will do the data jockeying after the DJing has been going on for some time. So there is DJing and DJing going to happen at the same time. But first we will have this little mingling, and then the dancing, and then after some time you will see this screen turning on, and then you can go and see Tejaswinee for the data jockeying, which is kind of a preliminary analysis of the sensor data that have been collected. One very important message now is that we need all the guinea pigs at the guinea pig station, okay? All guinea pigs to the guinea pig station immediately, okay? Thank you.
And there's more food.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.